It's great to be here today with my good pastor friend, Evans
Yeah.
Adede, and our driver and good friend, Elisha Apollo. And so we're going to ask a couple questions about the Kenyan culture in regard to marriage. And the one we want to talk about right now is about giving I guess in Kenya what they call a dowry or a bride price for a young lady. I guess I
Yeah.
thought maybe that was not something that still happened here. But Pastor Evans, tell us a little bit about what that looks like.
Okay, so I'll say tradition is still too much here. And for a young man to get to marry a young lady, they have to pay dowry to them. There's an amount of money they're supposed to pay. And that is as per what the parents of the lady will ask for. Yeah.
And how much is that usually? Is it a set price, or does it depend on the parents? Or
It depends on the parents, so there's no set standard for that. So whatever the parents will ask for, that's what you have to bring.
okay. For
Yes.
example, Elisha. Now, Pastor Evans is still single, looking to get
Very
married.
single.
But Elisha, you've been married to Virginia for 10 years.
Yes.
And so what kind of bride, did you have to pay a bride price for her when you got married? Or you still are?
Yes, I had to pay a bride price. In fact, I had to pay 2 cows,
2 cows,
big ones.
2 big cows.
Yes, for me to show a sign of love
Yeah.
and respect to the family.
Right.
And that doesn't mean that I have to stop giving more cows. I have to continue giving cows every time and every time. So
Does that ever end, or
Never ends.
it never ends?
Yeah,
Never
the bride
ends.
price in Kenya
continues,
doesn't end.
never
And
ends.
you're giving these, what you're giving to the parents, is that for their discretion to use it however they want?
Yes,
Yes.
they use it the way they want. They can sell it, or they can rear them at home as domestic animals. It's upon them to decide what to do with the animals.
Okay.
Yes.
How do you think this affects marriage in Kenya? Does this hinder marriage because some young men can't have a bride price, afford a bride price for their young lady? Or how does that affect marriage?
Yeah, I'll say that greatly affects marriage, especially for people my age, because I have friends that find it hard to
Yeah.
get married because they're trying to imagine how much it will cost them to marry a lady, and so that will make them to think they don't want to marry because
Okay.
it's too expensive for them.
Wow.
Yeah.
So does that cause problems with couples then who don't get married just living together, or does it lead to that?
Yeah.
So that's why we'll find most of the problem, most of the young people, they tend to get married, but they cannot afford the bride price. They prefer come and stay, You come, you stay, the parents will do that, and this is not according to Bible.
Right.
So
They come and stay, you mean they live
yeah,
together?
They
They
live
live together,
together,
but
yeah.
it's the opposite of that.
Yeah.
So we get a lot of challenges because of the traditions
Yeah.
you have to encounter.
So really having a bride price like this to put a value on the young lady isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it does hinder couples getting married.
Yes.
So it would
yeah.
hinder a lot of couples getting married and lead to living together, staying together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in America, we give, I guess you could say, it's kind of like a bride price in that you would give a wedding ring that has a diamond in it that has some significant value to the young lady to show your love and that she's valuable to you, and to show the parents that she has value to you. But we do not have that kind of bride price
Yeah.
type of system. So I guess that concerns me some in the fact I feel like that marriage is so holy and sacred that God doesn't want something to hinder that based on greed, maybe, of
Yeah.
parents.
Yes.
Would you say that a lot of the bride price for the young ladies?
Quite a number of percent based on the greed.
Yeah,
Many parents won't allow their daughters to just be taken freely.
yeah,
You have to give and to get.
yeah.
So it's a two-way traffic. You have to bring something to show that you want to marry our daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
And I'll say that that is greed is there because daughters are considered to be a source of wealth.
yes.
Here in
A
Kenya.
source of wealth to her
Yeah.
parents.
So the more daughters you have, the more you'll get money when they get married.
So in a way, it's almost kind of like you're blackmailing the young
Yeah.
man as you said, to keep getting money for the daughter.
Yeah, that
So-
makes marriage to be more commercialized
makes
in
it-
Kenya.
It makes it very hard for you as the young couple getting started financially too,
Yeah.
because they're still paying money back to that family.
Yeah,
So I wanted to share this because this is very different than the culture
than what
in
you have in
America
America.
and even most places around the world. Now I know in the Jewish tradition, when they did have a bride price, and they passed some type of Jewish law. I think it's called, if I'm saying this right, ketubah. And what that was is they did pay something, and then they could pay more after they got married, but
Yeah.
they would cut that off at a certain point. Once you paid a certain amount, it was over. You didn't indefinitely just keep
Yeah,
doing it. And then they went from that. Today, many of them have gone to more of just exchanging giving a wedding ring, kind of like they do in it, and that's been acceptable. So it's went that route somewhat. But I know this, in many cultures, it's still this way. So this is very interesting. Any last words you want to say about this?
yeah. What I want to say is that people need to understand that Christianity is bigger than tradition, because tradition has really cost a lot of young men in Africa. And also where I come from, we have people that have grown old without marrying because they fear that responsibility, because to them it's too much. Yeah. So that the kind of money that is required of them, they are not able to afford. So even if they want to marry a lady, so they'd rather not. Yeah.
Do you feel like, what would be a solution to this, do you think, in Kenya? How could we move towards away from this?
Okay, what would happen is if we will get education, especially to young people, such that as we move forward in years to come, these young people will be the fathers then, and I think they will be changed now. Because whatever they'll pass on to their children will be very different from what we've been passed on to.
Do you think that needs to start in the church, with churches and pastors teaching their men and young ladies and young people this, the sacredness and holiness of marriage, so that they won't hinder that?
I think churches are an easy place to start with, because churches have a lot of people, and that is where you can just bring them together and teach them about how God wants marriage to be like. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate y'all sharing today about the bride price in Kenya.
Yeah.
God bless you, brothers.
God bless you too.
God bless
Thank
you.
you.